Hey guys, GamingSandwich here. So here's a weird one I'm going to go through with like a thing that happened to me recently. So it's a weird one where you get some weird lines in hand. So this was my starting hand. So it's Silhouette Trick, Bonfire, Original, Ash, and Sinful Spoiled Silver. So it's a very kind of like interesting hand of where I'm going to kind of go with this. So I was like, I don't know what my opponent's playing. So I'm like, okay, so I kind of go Bonfire because I feel like it's the best way because I just want to try and bait something out. And then it's like, okay, cool. So what do I kind of go through from here? And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna commit to my normal. So I'm like, I'll just spec popular, reveal effect, and then as soon as they do, they just slam down the Veiler, and I'm like, cool, okay. So I just think to myself, well, I'll link it off into Relinquished. I'll get my 2 bits. And I'll go for original, setting popular. They're like, sure, it's fine. So I'm like, okay, so I get Ash. And I was like, Ash effect. They're like, no, it's fine. And I was like, cool, I'll get Birch. So it's like, okay, I'll get Birch. So I've got a decent board established. So I'm like looking to myself going, okay, so I'll use the effect of Ash. I'll get my Flamberg. And I'm like, okay, so I don't really know what to do, so I'll just go into SP and then Flamberg will trigger and I'll just get back. And I was like, I've got an idea. I'm gonna go for Birch and Ash. And I was like, okay, so I've got a decent line here, so I'm going to go Ash and this into Princess. So it's an interesting line of here, so I'm gonna then do the standard line of just getting my Flamberg, and I will turn these both into side because I know some guy's going to have like a triggering sensation. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to use Flamberg. I'm just going to grab the SP and put in my Spell and Trap card zone. So I'm like, okay, this is fine. Then I'm like, I'm just going to set the Silhouette Trick, set the Silver, and I'm like, I'm just going to go pass. And my opponent just looks at this board and just goes, this is just weird. I don't understand this logic of where you're going with this. So he's like, fine, go. I'm like, cool. Anything in draw? And he's like, no, draw phase. And I'm like, yeah. Anything in standby? And he's like, no, main one. And then he just goes, activates a card. And I just go, cool. I'll chain Birch and I'll tribute my princess. And he's like, what? So like, if you've got an Ash, just play it. So he's like, no. So I'm like, I would summon on my Snake Eyes Diabellstar. And he's like, okay, so I was like, okay, anything else? And he's like, okay, this is fine. He's like, activate the effect of field spell. Then I'm like, cool. I'll Silhouette Trick in response, and then I'll chain Flamberg. And he's like, for my SP. So it's like, he's like, okay, so I'm like, field spell negate. He's like, okay, that's fine. I can't really do much. And I was like, okay, so activate quick play. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll Silver, negate. Yeah, he's like, I'll Rotor, and I'm like, no, I'll Ash. And he was like, okay, I'm kind of a bit stuck now. And then he just manages to special, and then I go, cool, that's fine. I'll, Promethean. And then I'm obviously gonna get Ash and popular in defense, and then it's like I then have like loads of just absolute insanity, and he's like, no, that's it, too much in scoops. And he was just he said to me about how the board looked so much worse than it actually was. He goes, the 2 face downs, he goes, were just such a good bluff, and just that board, he goes, just looks like you just half-arsed it, and it was so much better than you actually meant it to be. Again, I feel it's a play with Snake Eyes players. We need to get into this ability now to make our boards look a bit more weaker and be a lot more aggressive on the crackback. I don't know. I mean, you guys talk to me. I personally like experimenting with the deck and doing different lines. Obviously, my build's a lot more different. I main the Silhouette Trick. I just personally really like it over Azaroon as a card just for pure utility, and the fact it's an illusion just can sometimes just be a blocker to kind of like not steal a game but protect me for turn. So again, that's like, a personal preference. But yeah, tell me what you guys think and like what you guys would have done differently or something like that. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later.